everybody, this is Erica, the technology nerd who likes to film stuff, and I have the Samsung Galaxy S6 here, and we have an iPhone 6 Plus. I don't have an iPhone 6 on me, but I would think it would be about the same size as this here. So we have a lot of people poking at the copycat similarities that we see here. Look at this, the speaker looks very similar. It's just a very similar looking device to the iPhone. Do I get angry at this? Well, I don't really have much to say about that. It is what it is. It is pretty, really. It is different in that the back is very shimmery, shiny, and glassy. And we've got a much further protruding camera lens here on the back versus what we have on the iPhone 6 Plus and the iPhone 6. Galaxy S6, iPhone 6, wow. It's all too familiar to me. I think the feature that I am really liking almost the most at this point on this Galaxy S6 device is this new fingerprint sensor. It's very much like what we have on the iPhone 6 and even on iPhone 5S. It works incredibly, incredibly well. Let's just finish up here. And then it's going to make me have a backup password. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0. Or O. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, O. Now we've got the lock screen set to the fingerprint type. So no more swiping, no more fiddling around. That was the biggest issue that I had. I really don't use the fingerprint sensor on my Galaxy Note 4 because it's kind of cumbersome for me. I can't do it with one hand. And it can get kind of tricky to program your finger to swipe any way that you would like. So it is a major improvement. So even if this phone is off like this, you just hold down and it unlocks immediately. It's very, very accurate. So I can do that again and it unlocks it. You can see how that works very well. So that is a feature that I admire. I think that a lot of manufacturers are now going to be going for this. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people angry because it was ads on the iPhone. It's really copying the iPhone. But I'm really trying not to pay attention to who is copying whom. I'm just happy to have this same feature on another phone, on another option. I don't get so hung up on who's copying what. In my personal opinion, I really like how the Galaxy S6 and 6 Edge look over the Galaxy S5. So there's a thing here going on with form over function. With the Galaxy S5, we did have some waterproofing, water resistancy, and that was a really nice feature to have. And that's something that we unfortunately don't have anymore here. Also, a lot of people are quite angry that we were able to remove the back cover on the Galaxy S5, and that is no more with the Galaxy S6. Samsung says that they feel confident enough about the battery life that they don't need to have this removable back cover anymore. But we are also sans without the SD card slot, which is right here on the S5. I don't really know overall how angry this is going to make people. We do see devices for a long time that don't have a removable back cover, but that was something that was really lovely from Samsung. I guess the question that you guys would have is, do I particularly care that we don't have those features anymore? Honestly, no, not really. I've been so used to playing around with devices that don't have a removable battery anyway. And we have a 128 gigabyte, 64 gigabyte, and 32 gigabyte option. So if you're someone who's been using an iPhone for any extended period of time, you're probably not going to care so much. But if you really loved Samsung for these reasons here, then it's probably going to be a major bummer to you. There's really no getting around it here. We have a completely different phone. So let's run through the specs a little bit. First thing I want to point out is that this glass is Gorilla Glass 4. It's the same type of glass that we have on the Galaxy Note 4. So the claim that we have here with the Gorilla Glass 4 is that it can survive drops on a rough surface from up to 1 meter for about 80% of the time. That's hard to say exactly how they factor out those statistics because I've seen a video where a Galaxy Note 4 was dropped onto just pavement and the display was shattered. So it worries me a little bit that we now have glass on the front and the back. This is a device I will probably be putting in a case, although I hate cases. Really, really I do. I really don't know if I foresee people buying those glass screen protectors for the front and the back. That's going to make it a lot thicker. It'll also make it heavier. It will take away the joy of having a very thin device like this. I could probably foresee people putting something like a ZAGG screen protector on it. If it falls, it should give it a little bit of give so it doesn't crack. So that might be how you might want to approach this, either with a case, maybe someone will create a glass screen protector, or try putting a ZAGG on this, something that will absorb the impact. So on this device here, we have a 5.1-inch display. This is Quad HD AMOLED, 577 pixels per inch. So this display looks really, really nice in terms of the pixel density. I do notice that they add a little bit of a sharpening effect on this display, but it's not bad and something that really bothers me. Now I've had a chance to go and play with the HTC One M9, and as far as the displays go, I'm really picky about the whites. So I'm happy to see that with what we have here is that it looks more neutral to me. It doesn't look really bluish, greenish. I'm hoping that that's something that we'll see as consistency with retail models. It looks pretty consistent with all of the devices that I've seen around here. So the white point looks pretty decent. With the HTC One M9, I saw that it was really like a greenish, bluish white point. So I do like how this display looks better. Plus you do have some options for controlling how you want the display to look. So underneath our display modes, we've got adaptive display, AMOLED Cinema. This is going to be the crazy, punchy, oversaturated mode. AMOLED Photo, which is going to be the wide gamut mode. And then you've got Basic, which is going to give you the least crazy look overall. So the AMOLED Photo and the AMOLED Basic, just to let you know, have that white point that looks more decent. The AMOLED Cinema mode looks quite bluish, if you can see the difference between that here. AMOLED Cinema really does give that graded movie effect. It's blue on purpose. As far as the processor goes on this thing, Samsung decided to go for their own proprietary thing this time instead of going with Qualcomm. So we've got an Exynos SoC here. You've got an octa-core CPU. So you've got those big little cores. You've got quad-core 2.1 gigahertz and quad-core 1.5 gigahertz. 3 gigabytes of RAM. And they really talk about how it's LPDDR4. So far to me, this device feels quick and snappy, although it doesn't always feel like the frame rates are 100% smooth. I do see, like when pulling down the shade right here, that it does miss some frames here and there. I do like that Samsung has simplified this TouchWiz. This still is TouchWiz, but it's not endless and endless menus. I think they said 40% less menu. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but what I like is that things are labeled, so you don't have to guess what things are anymore. Underneath quick settings, there's data usage, sounds and notifications, display. Everything is very easy to find and very easy to understand. So here we have a Galaxy Note 4 next to it. You can see that the interface looks a lot flatter. We don't have as many things to file through. So log, favorites, contacts, where we've got a lot of icons and images. So they have changed that. Continuing further on with easier labeling, I really like that first you can double tap this home button here and it opens up the camera. Less than a second, it really is very quick. You can see that demonstrated again. And what I really like now is just how simple this is. Even my mom, she decided to take a Nexus 5 for me over a Galaxy S4 initially because she thought that the camera was too complicated, but now everything looks very easily labeled. You have everything accessible that you need right here. Then underneath mode here, I really appreciate what they've done. This is simple. This is easy to understand. It does look a lot like what HTC has. But if you look at mode here before, you've got a lot of boxes and things that don't really mean all too much to me. So this is very helpful in understanding what's going on with the camera. So the interface has been very much cleaned up, and that does help with the usability of a phone. It makes it a lot more enjoyable to use when you know how to use it. So the camera on the back here is a 16 megapixel sensor, f1.9 lens. We've got optical image stabilization and real-time HDR. And the front camera as well, it's a real treat, is also f1.9, 5 megapixels, so that is a good resolution. It is a fixed lens though. We've got a quick selfie feature. It kind of reminds me of the G3. If you hold your hand up like this and it recognizes your face as well, let's see if it can see me. So if it sees me and I hold my hand up, you can see that it takes the picture. And you can see that it does that. So I've seen the quality of the selfies on this thing, and they're really nice and bright. I think that the white balance of this camera looks really nice as well. So I think the people who really enjoy taking selfies will be quite pleased. You've got live beauty look here. You can control making your skin look a little less rough, get rid of blemishes, timer, HDR, and you have some effects as well. So the front camera has definitely improved, as have the capabilities. So you've got selfie, wide selfie, you've got virtual shot. I'm gonna have to play with some of these things. And interval shot, you can download some extra things as well. Underneath the back camera settings, we've got Auto Pro, Selective Focus, that's something that's been around for a while now, Panorama, Slow Motion, Fast Motion, Virtual Shot, and Download. So Pro settings are really nice. You can change everything that you'd like and save it as a custom camera. So you can choose an effect here. Just keep it on standard, for example. Then you've got manual, so you can go to infinity or macro focus. You have the ability to control your white balance, your ISO, and you've also got exposure compensation right here. So that's nice. Once you deselect it, you can hit custom and you can save it as a custom slot. Can you save more than 3? That is a good question. Save. And then save. It looks like you can only save up to 3 different custom settings. Underneath the further camera settings that we have down here, you can control your picture size. You see you've got various options here, 60 megapixel, 16:9, 12 megapixel, 4:3, and so on and so forth. You've got video size for here, so you've got Ultra HD, QHD, Full HD, 60 frames per second. And then you've got a couple other settings there. We've got a video stabilization feature, which I believe is the digital stabilization that they add onto the optical image stabilization. I can tell because it ends up cropping the image a little bit, whereas if you have that setting off, the image is not going to be cropped. We've also got a tracking autofocus feature that allows you to track objects. So if we go outward here, here is these pile of phones here. You can see it will track it. It's debatable as to how well it actually works. So we can just start with video. Kind of going back and forth here, up and down. See if we can get it to lose tracking here. It's kind of skipping all over the place. It's nice to have this feature, but I'd like to go out, test it more, and see how well it actually works. I hear some people saying, it's okay. But that's still a nice feature to have. I think the last thing to keep in mind with these cameras is that once you change the settings up to either 60 frames per second, QHD or UHD video, you do lose features. So with 60 frames per second, you lose HDR, you lose video effects, you lose the digital video stabilization, you lose taking pictures while recording video and tracking autofocus. So that's the same thing with any of these higher resolution settings. So that's a bit unfortunate. So if you want to keep these features on, it's going to be full HD or 1080p video. That's really what's going to have all these features. We do have a Lollipop here with the Galaxy S6 and on the Galaxy S6 Edge. And of course, I was curious about which Lollipop features do we have included on these devices. It still is TouchWiz. It still has that awkward color scheme. And you can see that when you go down here, you don't have that double pull. It's just going to be one single swipe. So you're going to see your notifications and also your quick toggles all at the same time. So that's lacking with Lollipop. Also, when you hit the up and down button, you have access to different profiles such as ringtone and media notifications, but you don't have the ability to turn on priority mode from here. You do have access to priority mode though, luckily. I did play around with this and it took me some time to find some of the Lollipop features. If you go underneath sounds and notifications, we do have a do not disturb mode. So you can turn on the do not disturb mode from right here. You can allow exceptions such as alarms, calls, messages, and then we've also have app notifications. So just like with vanilla Lollipop, you can turn off notifications from just say contacts or I don't know, anything. So you can block notifications here. So you won't be bothered with any notifications ever from this particular application, or you can set it as priority. So I can see here that they did get rid of their blocking mode in favor of using lollipop settings as well, which is nice. So we have do not disturb instead of blocking mode anymore. Also, happily from the lock screen, we have the ability to access notifications the same way in Lollipop. You can check notifications and also reply right from the notification. So all that is included as well. So a lot like how it works on the Galaxy Note 4, we've got the ability to do the pop-up window here. So you have the minimized window. You should be able to have 5 open at a time. Phone and email. You can see that these all float around. Only 5 apps can be open at a time. So once you got these 5 open, you can move them all around. And you can see that you're able to minimize some of them and get them to be this little orb. So this really helps with the multitasking. I'm really happy that the multitasking feature on the Note 4 has come to the S series, so that's really nice. Another really neat setting that I am seeing is underneath themes, so you can purchase themes. There is an entire store that you can purchase different themes from. Let's just go ahead and apply the space theme. You can see that it not only changes icons, but it does change the look of the entire interface. I think that that is quite cute. So it really just lets you customize your device the way that you would like to. So as for some miscellaneous features, this device has a quick charging feature that allows it to charge 50% in half an hour. So that is very, very nice as a feature. Also, it has inductive charging built straight into the device. It doesn't have the ability to do quick charging through the inductive charging though. We're also going to be seeing Samsung Pay soon, and I hope that that works really well. I hear that it's going to be very, very widely available, so that's something that I'm excited to be able to try out, because with my iPhone, I haven't been able to use the Apple Pay feature. So this is all that I want to say for now. I hope to get my hands on both of the devices. I'm sure I will be purchasing both of these devices. So thank you everyone for watching. This has been Erica, the technology nerd who likes to film stuff. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. Check out my Patreon campaign at patreon.com/Erica. That is what helps me to purchase devices like these, to keep fully objective in my reviews. So tell me what you think about the Galaxy S6 and the Galaxy S6 Edge, and have a good night.